Welcome, students. My name is Chris Hanlon. I'm a professor of English here in the Department of English at Eastern Illinois University.
I'm C.C. Warham, also a professor here at Eastern Illinois.
And we want to welcome you here to the first installment of what we're calling the Close Reading Cooperative. This is a podcast in literary studies produced here at Eastern.
Good idea, bad name.
Why is it a bad name, Charles?
Well, why don't you tell them what it is first, and I will describe why it is a bad idea, bad name.
All right, well, we decided to call it the Close Reading Cooperative because what we really think many of our students need most of all are skills in what is called close reading. Now, close reading goes all the way back to a group of critics who were active during the 1930s and 40s who called themselves the new critics, and sometimes now they're known as the formalists. And one really powerful idea that these people had was that close reading was what would help students of literature come up with things to say about literature. And what they mean by close reading was basically that all you need to do as an English major, as a person who reads literature, is to notice things about the structure of literature, the form, how it sounds, how it looks. In other words, you don't need to know anything about when the work was written, who wrote it, or anything. You just need to be able to notice stuff. And that's what this podcast is going to help you to do.
And there is nothing wrong with noticing things about literature. I'm all for reading in an attentive way. The problem I have, Chris, is the name, close reading. When you think of close, what do you think of?
Well, not far.
Okay, I think of not on. Like, ooh, that was close. Almost reading. I think of that was just about a good reading. That was like not that far away from being good, but it was just a little off. So close reading to me doesn't sound quite right. Or I think of close being something like you're in a small space and everything is closing in on you. You're trapped with the poem next to you and you can't get out. You're in a little space with a cask of Amontillado.
Let me save you here. I don't think that's exactly what is meant by close reading. I think that people who know how to close read can do very specific things. For instance, they know what a metonym is. They know what a metaphor is. They know how to scan poetry. They know what an iamb and a trochee is and how to tell the difference between the two. And the thing is, and the reason why close reading is such a powerful idea and why it would behoove so many of our students to get better at it, is that if you can do these things, if you can talk about the structure of literature, if you can talk about not only what a text says, but how it says it, well, you know what happens?
No.
Well, you have things to say in class.
And again, there's nothing wrong with having things to say in class. I still think, though, maybe attentive reading practices or intimate reading. Now, doesn't that sound a lot better? Intimate reading. You're just you curled up with a poem, not in a closed space where demons are about to attack you. It's intimate reading or attentive reading because you're close, you're sort of engaged with it. I like the idea, Chris. I just hate the name. And cooperative, isn't that a little lefty? I mean, don't you think like we're going to get into like sort of close reading communists? What's next?
We are in a financial crisis, Charles.
It's true.
I'll make you a promise here, okay? Give it a couple weeks, see if you think that this idea is working, but I'll make you one promise. The Close Reading Podcast will never, ever, ever give you a lesson on an author or a text. What we're going to do every week is talk to you about the habits of thought that separate English majors from other kinds of readers.
And those kind of skills are worth listening to. So we hope you come back despite the name of the podcast.
We'll see you next week.